To deal with a person who just confidently overestimates their own intelligence to a soul-gratingly annoying level, always trying to interject themselves into conversations they don't belong in because they think their misinformed opinions are somehow valid. Nah, just me. Anyway, on a completely unrelated note,
count the number of times he insults my intelligence versus the number of times he is demonstrably wrong.
Is it possible to insult something you don't have? Sorry, continue.
Did you know that abortion is already illegal according to the Constitution? If life begins at conception, then abortion kills someone without due process of the law.
If I had $1 million, I'd be a millionaire, but I don't, and I'm not.
He says he doesn't think I'm a logical person, but then criticizes me for opening my argument with a conditional statement. A hypothetical syllogism is a valid form of argument in classical logic. This form of argument has been known about for over 2,500 years and was named by Theophrastus, one of Aristotle's students.
Was it now?
I'm using the modus ponens version of the argument, which reasons that if A implies B and A is true, then B must be true.
But I gotta know, how many hours of Googling did it take you to hobble together this just sad attempt to convince yourself that you weren't wrong about something? You made the statement that legally, according to the Constitution, abortion is legal based on your misunderstanding of the definition of the word person as it relates to the Constitution. And that gets pointed out to you, and you're now, what, trying to teach a fucking philosophy class? And you can't even do that right. The if-then argument works by solving for an unknown variable. If a truck is traveling at 60 miles an hour and it takes it 1 hour to reach its destination, then it must have traveled 60 miles. However, if my truck is a horse, then I need a farrier to change the tires. Doesn't fucking work because there is no unknown variable. We know my truck is not a horse. Therefore, we know a farrier is not the person who should be changing my tires. So when you start your argument with if life begins at conception, it's not a logical argument because we have no unknown variables. Your constitutional citations, which were completely irrelevant anyway because they had to do with criminal due process, cited that the rights were extended to a person. And the U.S. legally defines a person as any member of the species Homo sapien that has been born alive. No ambiguity here, so no logical place for your if-then logical argument. So what's next, Plato?
Insulting somebody's ability to think logically while not recognizing a syllogism when it's staring you straight in the face. I don't want you to feel embarrassed, but the irony is a little bit too rich not to point out.
Easy there, Oxford. We don't want the pages to fall out of your thesaurus.
This one actually is kind of embarrassing for you.
I hate to break this to you, bud, but I am supremely confident that it's not.
To say that this law excludes a fetus from being legally protected as a person is explicitly contradicted by Section C. Nothing in the section shall be construed to deny or contract any legal status or right applicable to the species Homo sapien prior to being born alive.
Yeah, I told you I wasn't gonna be. You see, Legal Zoom, here's where reading comprehension is important. Go ahead and read it again and tell me what word we've been talking about that is absent from Section C. I only have so much time. A person. Person is absent from Section C. See, that's important because the constitutional amendments you were citing extends rights to a person. And a person, like you just read, has the very important legal qualifier of being a member of the species Homo sapien that has been born alive. For once again, legally a fetus, not a person. And therefore not inherently extended the rights of a person under the Constitution. But things that are not a person also sometimes have rights. Animals can have rights, property can have rights. These things can be legal rights, just not necessarily constitutional rights. So like my horses, for example, because they are not a person, don't have any constitutional rights or protections, but they still have the legal right to not be subjected to animal abuse. Just like a fetus that is not a person is not afforded the constitutional rights of a person, but can in theory have other legal rights through legislation. Words have meanings, and in the case of law, those meanings are usually spelled out pretty explicitly.
And 95% of all biologists agree with that sentence.
You know, I'm not even going to bother to fact check your probably very wildly unreliable sources.
Using to fact check somebody's sources is not a flex, my friend. It is an admission of guilt.
Dude, refusing to fact check you wasn't intended as a flex. It was what I thought, but apparently am wrong, was a very obvious way to point out that I didn't need to waste time in a short form content video fact checking something that has no relevance to the initial argument. Biologists' opinions that you took out of context, according to the biologist that you took out of context, has no bearing or relevance on the legal definition of personhood that you were using to support your argument that the Constitution already outlaws abortion. Two separate things. You want to talk science or legality? You pick the topic and you chose constitutional legality. Science has nothing to do with it. Furthermore, life does not equal personhood, and life beginning is not the same as being alive. A log cabin is made out of trees, so it starts as an acorn, but you're not going to have a romantic weekend getaway in this, or probably ever, if we're being honest. But all of that is irrelevant to the legality of the rights the Constitution affords to a person, so there was no need to waste time fact-checking it.
He's having a hard time following the logic, but that reason we went into the science there was because I was defending the third premise in my logical syllogism.
Now we've come full circle to the logical syllogism you didn't have. Just a second, I'll be right back. Guys, this shit continues for like another 7 fucking minutes or something, so I'm gonna end it here, but if you feel like you got too many IQ points hanging around, you can go watch the video in its entirety. Alright, sorry, I'm back. Now, where were we? Right. You know what? I concede. You have far superior intellectual and logical abilities and have completely decimated my argument with your Googling of philosophy. And I'm sure it was extremely satisfying and fulfilling to impress your friend, guy that feels bad for you at the lunch table, with your big words and your philosophy and your logic you use to justify why you hate women because you can't find any that'll touch your pee-pee. I'm glad you had the courage, the bravery, and the time to share your superior intellect with the internet by creating videos that get tens upon tens of views. Just keep at it, big guy, and your name will go down in history as a great intellectual mind. Or on the evening news in a story about what a guy with a manifesto did to a Planned Parenthood. You know, either way. And as I'm absolutely certain you'll make another video in response to this, I sincerely hope you enjoy the last word. It's yours. My gift to you.